What's up, everybody? Trip Morgan here with Panthersource.com. Here to talk about this something we just witnessed today of a football game, I guess you could say. I got my buddy Billy here joining me again this week. What's up, Billy?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Before we dive into like I said, whatever it was we just watched, y'all be sure to like, comment, share up here. Pound that wow button, get other people involved. We're here to talk about it with everybody. We want your input as well, so be sure to jump in the comments, talk with us about it, let us know your frustrations. I'm sure there's plenty out there, because I know Billy and I definitely have some, because what we saw today, I don't think, some people said they would have expected it. I don't think I would have expected exactly what we saw completely.
I said weeks ago, I said, the offense had to get better, and I didn't think that we would be this bad. We've taken a lot of steps back, and I'm not impressed. And if we play, this is going to be a long season.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to start with the offense just because I think going into this game, it's what I was looking forward to most, as trying to see them get going. The Niners and Bills normally have at least a decent defense. The Bills, I think, even showed today in their game today that they're a little bit better than most people give them credit for. But you knew the offense was struggling earlier, and this is the week. I said in the weekly preview this week, this is the game. Not that the Panthers' offense is going to go off, but I was expecting to see touchdowns and scores and see something from them, and they struggled bad. Cam Newton had a bad game. The offensive line had a bad game. You also, which isn't necessarily a shock there. But Cam was staring down defenders several times. It led to a few of the interceptions. He missed some open receivers today. And I think that was the most frustrating thing. The one where he forced the ball to McCaffrey, went off his hands. A guy crossed right under McCaffrey wide open and had it on a drag and had the easy first down and maybe more. And Cam just tried to force it to McCaffrey. On a couple plays, the next interception, it was either Demir Bird or Russell Shepard wide open to the right, who also crossed on what looked like a flood route. And he tried to force it down to Devin Funchess, and it was jumped. The route was jumped by Kenny Vaccaro.
Yeah, Cam, he's been in the league long enough, and it seemed today he took steps back. He stared down all of his receivers. He wants to get the first down. He forced that ball to McCaffrey. He wants that first down. Put it on his shoulders. He's got to get it to that open wide receiver and let them work. And that would have been a first down plus some on that McCaffrey interception.
Yeah, I know. That's just it. Like, Cam wants to force the ball. He likes to play it downfield, and you saw what he can do when he has that extra second when he threw the deep ball down the sideline to McCaffrey. And you've seen what he can do with that, but there's times it's been frustrating. It's been frustrating for a while because Cam has a tendency to hold on to the ball too long. And he did that really bad today, and he has to know with this offensive line he can't do that. And when he does, if he has the time, he's forcing the ball downfield, and when he doesn't, he's holding there and he still wants to get it down. Now, he also, Christian McCaffrey had 9 catches for 100 yards today. He is on pace for 96 catches this season, and Josh Norris pointed us out on Twitter when he came across that, and that's not a healthy sign for the Panthers offense necessarily. We got Christian McCaffrey for his versatility, and I will say, he was keeping, with those dump offs like that, he keeps it within third and short situations, and that's what I preached early on in the season, that the Panthers need to stay in that. That's with the kind of offense they run, they are built to run the football and win in short third down situations if they're going to get in third down situations. Cam Newton wants to force the ball downfield, but right now, that's another thing. Kelvin Benjamin went down early on a really awkward, ugly-looking hit. And we haven't heard anything. I know they had his knee iced up. He did not return for the game. I think he ended with 8 catches. He was out in the first quarter, wasn't it? Yeah. So now you got Ryan Khalil is still out with a neck injury. Greg Olson's out. He's on IR. And now Kelvin Benjamin's hurt, and we're not sure. I haven't seen exactly anything come across yet on what exactly his status is, and that's concerning.
I think the biggest thing this week was, we lost our 1,000 yards a year tight end.
Yeah.
And it definitely showed, because that's who's always there for Cam to go to get those plays made, to get those first downs. I think he's having to find other tools. But even 2 years ago when we lost KB, he found Funchess, and Funchess became really good in the offense. I think that Cam still has some rust, but I didn't like the way that he just stared down his receivers today, and it really, really was bad.
Yeah, it's never going to be a good sign. I was reading some of y'all's comments. The final score was 34-13, Jane, and it was every bit ugly as that. Panthers looked like they had Cam finally put together a good drive. He went down, he rushed in the end zone, scored, was hyped up about it, obviously, was trying to get his teams pumped up. Defense comes out, gets the stop. They get the ball back, and then interceptions started flowing back. I mean, I think the next two drives he had back-to-back picks. They went on later to put in Derek Anderson just because of the way the game was going, and the Saints put it away. And at the end, well, we'll get into defense in a minute, but and Derek Anderson came out, and he was just that was just icing on the cake for what the Saints had done all day.
And
so
I made the comment. I said I'd rather see Derek Anderson throw the ball first ball is 20 yards above somebody's head. And I'm like, okay,
yeah. And then
just turn channel.
Then he throws it like 10 yards short in the dirt. Yeah. But no, I think it was tough to watch the whole thing. And the worst part about it is the Saints defense is ranked 32nd in the league, and you wouldn't have thought it watching them today. Matt Cleo early on, I think this was a big tone setter. The Panthers drove down the field great on their opening drive, got down there on a 3rd and goal. Cam dropped back, and Matt Cleo, and Rivera said this in the press conference shortly after the game as well, his assignment was to slide left and block left. Imagine that. He's a left tackle. And that he messed up and he slid right to take the block, and there was nobody there. That's because Cameron Jordan, the Saints' best defensive end, was running right past him, and by the time he realized he went the wrong way, Cam Newton was on the ground. It's 4th and goal, and then here we are settling for a field goal, and the Saints come down and start their route with an opening touchdown.
Yeah, that set the tone at the beginning. I thought the offense looked good. That sack, I'm not sure if it got into their head, I think, because at that point the game we had momentum going down the field. It was very easy for us. Got that sack, we get the field goal, and then it was just all downhill from there.
Yeah, and the Panthers, they didn't have a bad day on the ground in this game. Jonathan Stewart was running the ball well. Curtis Samuel, you finally saw a flash. Well, I say finally. We've seen a flash of him, once last week, now once this week. And he had that one end-around play for 31 yards, and I was sitting here thinking, okay, yeah, this is one of the things I wanted to see. They're finally going to start showcasing some of Curtis Samuel with his speed, because part of his drafting him was one, his versatility, obviously. We've talked about that. And then the Ted Ginn factor that we lost, who also had a pretty good catch today. He was going to catch every ball when he came to Carolina. But you see that. You see Curtis Samuel explode on that, and I'm sitting here thinking, at this point, Kelvin Benjamin's out. Greg Olson's out. And I'm sitting here wondering, we've got to give the ball to Curtis Samuel some now, right? I mean, he's a playmaker.
He's a playmaker. He's got the speed, and that's what we have with Ted Ginn, and we don't have that now if they don't put Samuel in the game. Yeah. And Samuel doesn't get targeted after that end around till Derek Anderson comes in garbage time, and that's really disheartening. He had the injury through preseason, but the end around he seemed healthy. It's 31 yards for that one rush.
Yep.
I think we need to get him in the game and get him involved for his speed and get the defense backed up. Yeah, and
I've said this from the get-go too, and I think the hype surrounding Christian McCaffrey, and understandably so, he was the first-round draft pick, 8th overall. A lot of the hype around McCaffrey was overshadowing the injury with Curtis Samuel and him not being on the field during the preseason. And I was saying it then, I don't think people realize just how important a role Curtis Samuel plays in this offense. He's just as important in my eyes as McCaffrey is. And, I mean, we can see it now because McCaffrey's been featured more as a kind of a receiver out of the backfield and in the slot and motioning out wide, and he's been doing good. I mean, he had 9 catches for 101 yards today. So it's not that McCaffrey is doing bad. He's doing great, but now with the injuries and stuff, it's almost to a point where we're having to force feed him the ball again, and that's not necessarily healthy. And I just don't get – Shula kind of said last week in I think it was like Tuesday's press conference after practice that – they were trying not to rush Curtis Samuel back with that hamstring injury, and that I completely get. I mean, it can be a lingering issue if you don't want to see that going on throughout the season. But now I feel like we have no excuse. I just feel like he's somebody we've got to start trying to showcase and get more involved, take some of the pressure off of McCaffrey, even though he's doing a solid job. Jonathan Stewart had 12 rushes for 57 yards a day. at 4.8 a carry. I mean, that's solid. The running game was there. I had over 100 yards rushing today. So it's going to be interesting moving forward. A big tail, the tailing part is going to be what's going on with Kelvin Benjamin's injury.
Yeah, and the Curtis Samuel run him out of the backfield. We already have that come from McCaffrey. Of course, put it in there some, but we have to get him down the field. We have to use that speed. And
right.
We have to get the rust off him so he can make those passes.
I think his biggest part as far as rushing is exactly how to use him today. Fake the handoff, make it look like an option read from Cam, run, and then flip it to him just like they did today. Give him some end rounds and get him in space just like you'd want to do with McCaffrey. But Samuel's speed is much faster than McCaffrey. I mean, it's not even really close. McCaffrey's got good burst, but Samuel, if he gets over his space, he's gone, as you saw today. So I think that's something that needs to be showcased moving forward, and I guess we'll find out. But today was not promising for the offense, and I'll be honest, we'll jump on to the defensive side. It wasn't impressive there either after the first 2 weeks. So
yeah, what did I say a couple weeks ago when I was on the show?
Yep.
The secondary is going to be awful, and I thought they were awful, and I think they're still awful. Worley is garbage. If we play a good offense, we're done. They pass the ball, we're done.
Yeah.
Even today, Luke was missing tackles, so nothing went right on the defense for us.
Yeah, I don't know. The Saints, I just had it pulled up here. The Saints I know they had over 100 total yards on the ground, which was the most disturbing part to me, was there was just constant gaping holes right in the middle of our defensive line through the tackles. And that's something that, I figured coming into this game, I knew we were going against a good quarterback, and we were all curious to see what he was going to do against a future Hall of Fame quarterback. I knew the Saints would put up points. I mean, they're going to score touchdowns. You're not going to hold Drew Brees to no touchdowns. But it's just when they came in there and started running the ball like that, that is an automatic concern, because then you're opening play action for a quarterback like Drew Brees, and you're not keeping them one-dimensional. And then when they get a lead and they continue to rush the ball between the tackles, when you know what's coming, that's not good. So what was that total here? 149 total yards. And I actually think in a situational role, and I'd have to look this up for future reference, but we've always done well against Adrian Peterson throughout his best years of his career. Whenever he's played Carolina, we've always shut him down. I think the most he's ever had was like 53 yards or something, and he may have actually surpassed that today. If I had to guess, it would have been a career day, and he was one of 3 running backs featured today. So let's see here. Okay, no, he had 33 yards. I thought he broke off a big one later in the game, but he didn't. So, but I mean, that's going to be concerning, right?
Yeah, missing those tackles, and it's just wide open gaps, and with when we had the DBs coming up to help, they were just misreading the play.
James Bradbury missed several tackles today.
Worley missed tackles.
Luke Kuechly had Adrian Peterson wrapped up and just fell right off of him. And at that point, I just knew this wasn't going to be our day. And then, of course, when he dropped that easy interception, that could have been a big, that was a big turning point, because that was right after we scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
That could have been a pick six, as he had the whole right side open by himself. And that could have changed the flow of the game.
Which at that point, that was right after the Cam rushing touchdown. And we would have had a great, if he didn't get in the end zone, we had a great field position, but I think Cam ended up turning it over at that point, right back to him. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
They ended up holding him.
Yeah.
And then we went back down, and Cam threw another interception. I think that was the one off McCaffrey's hands that went around like 3 people. But just missed tackles was bad. And we'll get on the Darryl Worley train for a minute, because I'm sure we're not the only ones that are trying to talk about this. But Darryl Worley was awful today. He was the Matt Khalil, Cameron Jordan matchup, and Darryl Worley versus Michael Thomas, and really Darryl Worley in general against Drew Brees was my 2 biggest matchups for the preview this week, and it showed today, especially the Darryl Worley one, because early and often it was Michael Thomas beating all up on him, and then on the opening drive it was a touchdown, and Michael Thomas just manhandled him. And Worley's been beat with a double move. He's getting beat in his zones. Kurt Coleman did miss out on help one time over top on I think it was the second touchdown to Brandon Coleman.
Yep.
But Yeah, Darryl Worley not no good. I know you were hitting on it.
Yeah, and it was a lot of miscommunication in the secondary.
Yeah.
Who's supposed to pick up who? There's a lot of times that Worley come up and pick up that person.
Yeah.
Gone.
Wasn't he could he's not he doesn't seem to be playing the zone well. And I'll tell you what too, I've been a fan of Bradbury, but it may have just been and I'll say this while we're leading into that. Drew Brees, the Saints seemed to scheme very well against our defense. They had speed guys. That Tommy Lee Lewis kid was getting covered by Thomas Davis. That's never going to work. And that was happening a lot earlier. It seemed like we started to make some adjustments towards the end of the game, but the Saints also didn't have to be as aggressive then either. But Michael Thomas and Brandon Coleman were both featured in mismatches all throughout the day, and Drew Brees took advantage of it, and he was dropping them right in zones. I mean, right between two people perfectly. But that's Drew Brees. I mean, it was just Bradbury missing tackles, and then he did have coverage on that one play, but he didn't get his head around on the deep touchdown pass.
Yep.
He got beat. It wasn't terrible coverage. He just didn't turn his head around. You have to be able to see that. That was on the Ted Ginn catch.
Pass, yeah.
Yep. So it's definitely concerning. At one point, I saw our defensive end, Wes Horton, covering a slot receiver for some reason. That was when Bradbury was on the right side, and he had to come up to help him cover the zone. And as soon as he did, Brees dropped it, and Shaq Thompson was playing the middle hash, and Brees dropped it right there on the sideline in an empty zone play. And that was just, I don't know. It was not impressive, not to mention our pass rush wasn't there.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was really surprised. Did Drew Brees get sacked today at all?
I don't know. Yeah, no, he did. Mario Addison got him.
Yeah, one time is near the beginning of the game.
Yep.
But he wasn't pressured at all. He wasn't getting knocked down. There's no one in his face. And I was really surprised. I thought, here we go. We're going to be able to, beat the offensive line, put the pressure on Drew Brees, and slow that offense down a little bit. But he just had it all the time in the world the whole entire game.
Yep. Drew Brees was 22 of 29 for 220 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 sack for 7 yards, and a QB rating of 131.4 for those who look at that kind of thing. Not a good day at all for the Panthers defense. Mario Addison getting a sack early, I thought the pass rush was, kind of coming alive. It would kind of be there, but it filtered off quick, and it just seemed – I don't know. The screens, they killed us with the screen game today. And then we were throwing screens. Mike Shula.
3rd and 13. Let's throw a screen.
God. Now,
you're gonna surprise them sometimes, but over and over and over, and it's not working. Go to something else.
Yeah. And at this point, Cam hadn't been hitting his marks. I mean, that was obvious, but you can't. He's your quarterback. On 3rd and 12, you can't throw screens. You've been throwing them all game, and they haven't worked completely. The only one that was really working that I can recall was the ones out of the backfield to Christian McCaffrey. And they seemed to be going, I mean, they were picking up chunks here and there, but you can't throw a wide receiver screen to Curtis Samuel on 3rd and 12 and expect to pick up the first down. And then I said that, and then the next drive, New Orleans did it against our defense.
Yeah, New Orleans was killing us with the screens today.
Yeah, they were catching us. We were blitzing, heavy blitzing. They would catch us.
Then we missed tackles.
Yep. If you blitz on a screen and the quarterback gets the ball off to the running back or wide receiver, it can get ugly real quick, and that happened a few times a day. So, Michael Thomas for the Saints, 7 catches, 87 yards, a touchdown. Ted Ginn, 2 catches, 44 yards, a touchdown. I mean, just it was ugly. It was pretty ugly. Moving forward, we got the Patriots next week, who are scoring, but they don't have a defense either. Not yet. But unfortunately, the Panthers' offense doesn't look alive, and I'm not sure. I'm going to dig into some stats, and I'll do my weekly preview again on YouTube, so y'all can check that out there. And I'll look into that and see what we got. But moving forward, we're 2-1. The Falcons just got lucky again on that daggone Lions game, so they're 3-0. They're going to sit atop the division. The Saints will be above us. The Bucks, they got crushed pretty good today.
Yeah, they got crushed by Minnesota.
Minnesota crushed them today, so they're going to be 1-1. They missed the opening week because of Hurricane Irma, so they should be at the bottom of the division and putting us at 3rd. So we're going to have to win that head-to-head game. Need to win that head-to-head game against New Orleans next time in New Orleans, which is even tougher. New Orleans is so fast in the dome. So that offense is going to be really hard to stop there.
And talking about who we need to win, we need to win the next game. This was a team that I felt if we're going to make the playoffs, we have to win both. This was the one we win both because Tampa and Atlanta, they're both really good. I don't all around, but New Orleans is not.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, the New Orleans offense, as long as Drew Brees is going to be there, as long as he's not playing when he's 60 or something stupid, but as long as he's there, they're going to be decent. I mean, they've got receiving weapons, and they've got Drew Brees. So, and he showed that today. But you can't, when you're playing a 32nd ranked defense that has given up what they've given up, you've got to be able to move the football. And it started off decent in between the 20s, but it's been the problem the whole year, getting into the red zone and then just tanking. I think after that first drive, we were 1 for 7 in the red zone for like.
We were 19%.
Yeah,
so now we're about 12%.
Yeah, I think with one touchdown. Yeah, it is one touchdown because the other touchdown came to Russell Shepard on the 40-yard pass, so against the 49ers. So that's not going to cut it in the NFL. When you get down there, what I loved was Cam Newton took the ball himself from the 3-yard line, and I said this on Twitter during the game. If the Panthers are inside the 3 to 5 yard range from the goal line, it should be a handoff. I just think Cam should take it. If it's at least 3 yards, 5 might be a stretch because that's pretty tough. But 3 yards in, if you can't sneak the ball 3 times with Cam Newton and get in there, I'll live with that every day over what we've been doing, throwing a screen and losing yards and pushing yourself back and then giving up a damn sack from a drop back against Matt Khalil with that offensive line. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, with Cam, there should be no reason if we're in the 3-yard line that we should even pass the ball. If we have first and goal from 3-yard line, we should just run the ball.
Yep.
Cam should be sneaking it every time.
Yeah, I completely agree. So that puts us next week. We got, like I said, we got the Patriots, and then we got the Lions, 2 teams who, Tom Brady's on one, so there's that. But then, Matt Stafford and the Lions offense is looking good right now. The Lions team is off to a good start. And we're playing them at Detroit, and we got to go to New England. Not easy places to win. It's never easy to win on the road in the NFL. But luckily we won the first 2 games of the season. Because if we hadn't done that, we could be sitting at 1 and 2 right now. And I don't know. I'm worried about the New England game. Fortunately, they have a bad defense. Maybe we can get it going. It's really going to be bad if we've lost Kelvin Benjamin for a while. I'm still waiting to see something on that.
Yeah, and that's what I said when we were watching the game. It's like, well, we lost KB before, but I was like, oh, well, then we haven't lost. We had Olsen. So you really need Benjamin back because it's back to the drawing board on both sides of the ball after today's game. Yeah,
that's defense is. I think I'm more disappointed in the defense because the first 2 games, they didn't go against good quarterbacks, and we kept talking about it. This is going to get a real test here, and then they put that product on the field. And at the end, to me, it just the Kamara touchdown, they just looked like they didn't care. I'm not saying like guys like Luke Kuechly, those veterans, they care. And I'm not saying none of them do, but they went lazy. They just went lazy. The missed tackles were absolutely ridiculous. Alvin Kamara's not. He's a thicker dude, but he's not a big running back. He's not an Adrian Peterson or Mark Ingram, and I don't know. It was ugly. Let's go through the comments here and see what in the world is going on. Stiff said, "What happened?" We kind of just talked about it. A lot happened, but it wasn't in our favor. 22 is a new offensive target for sure. Yeah, he's definitely getting his share. Worley had a terrible game. Yeah, awful. The defense as a whole didn't have a good game. It looked like they were getting some stops there, and we were trying to switch momentum, and that's when Cam threw the 2 interceptions that pretty much killed us.
And really, we lost by 21. We had the ball 3 times down by 2 touchdowns.
It was 27-13. That's when we had scored. After scored that first touchdown, we held them to a field goal. It was still 14 points, and you're saying, okay, well, we still got a chance if we can get down here and score. And then Cam came out, hit a couple good passes, and then he forced that one to McCaffrey we talked about, where the guy was open underneath on a second and short or third and short for a first down, and it looked like he forced it to McCaffrey, bounced off his hands, and back the other way. Then he attempted that pass to Funchess where the guy was, I think it was Russell Shepard was wide open on the side, and Funchess didn't even go for it. It wasn't a great pass. Cam was bad today, guys. I'm normally, he's had shoulder surgery, and I really think the time he's missed has hurt. I mean, we can all sit here and say you need to keep him healthy for the season. Don't chance him in preseason, and that's true to an extent. But when you're not out there and you're not playing and you're not throwing the ball, in live practices and preseason games like that in live football, you're going to have a lot of, especially coming off of shoulder surgery. I mean, he keeps saying he's healthy. I don't think he's fully healthy, but he's good enough to be moving the ball and scoring on the Saints team. And I think we didn't see it today. And I said if this happened, I would be concerned, and I'm not going to waver from that. I am concerned, and I think it's completely understandable for anybody else to be as well.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's going to be a long season, and the first 2 games, I was skeptic. I said, wait till we play a good team, wait till we play a good offense, and now we did that, and now I'm like, oh crap, now we're in trouble.
Let's see. Matt said, we're great running, but geez, we can't keep punting or being comfortable doing it. Yeah, we've been running the ball fine. I think I'll have to go back and look at the Bills game because I know that one was close. But like I said, we had over 100 yards rushing today, and that's typically, I know that's one of Ron Rivera's big goals every week is 100 yards rushing, because our record, when we've hit that 100-yard mark each game, our chances of winning based off our record and history go way up. So when I saw that in the first half, we were already over 100, I said, well, we're down. I said, but, the worst part about that is when you get down big and you have to pretty much start going one-dimensional, whatever those rushing yards are doing are non-existent because you're having to move the football, and time's a factor at this point. So it seems like we got the running game going, but Cam's missed passes. I'm still not – we talked about Shula a little bit. His play calling, this is not exactly what I had in mind when we were talking about these new versatility and weapons. Got to see more Curtis Samuel. I want to see more Curtis Samuel. McCaffrey's doing a hell of a job. Like I said, 9 catches, 101 yards today. He's doing his part. He's keeping us in short third down situations when we get there, and he's been there. Cam has been dumping the ball off to him and laying it up when he's needed to at times. And then there's other times where he drops back, and there were a few times today where he hit his drop back and then boom, somebody was in his face. He turned and got rocked. But there were other times where he was holding on to that ball just a second too long. I'd rather see a throwaway. And there have been guys open. So
somebody says Joshua says Shula's the problem. 3 games in, how the offense is. Think if it continues to go, you think Shula's gone?
No, I don't see. Would I be mad if I saw it? No. Do I see it happening realistically? No, I don't think. Historically, the Panthers aren't a team that's just going to, fire somebody midseason, especially, what they did in 2015. And last year, we were in a lot of close games last year. And I think, it crossed my mind today, outside of maybe the Seattle game last year, this is probably the worst performance I've seen offensively over the last, in all of last year. And this, even against the Saints, the Seahawks at Seattle last year when we got walloped, we still put up points, and Cam was, dropping balls over top to Ted Ginn for deep touchdowns. So I don't know the play calling. I'm not happy with it though, and I think a lot of people would agree. I see Josh is up here saying Shula's the problem. Cam Newton needs to practice all week, just not Thursday and Friday. There might be an argument there. I don't know how he's feeling. The only people that know how he's feeling are the people inside that team, that locker room, and there's a lot of controversy. A lot of people think that he's hurting a lot more than he's leading on to be, and then the team's leading on to be. I don't know. We're not in there. I'm not Cam Newton. I don't know how his shoulder feels, but I feel like it's good enough to be making better passes. But I also feel like the time he's missed on the field with his teammates is also hurting him. And then you lose Greg Olsen, Kelvin Benjamin. We had another scare. Thomas Davis went out for a little bit today. Went to the locker room. I was worried he wasn't going to come back. So
today, I don't think the shoulder. There were some passes, yes. The shoulder wasn't that big of an issue today. I think it was the fact that he stared down every receiver before the ball was snapped. He knew who he was going to throw it to, and he stared him down. That's where the 3 picks came from. He stared down his receiver, and he threw that accurate pass. to that receiver that, the defender was right there, both their baskets right there for it. So I don't think the shoulder was a big issue. There were some missed throws, but a lot of it was just his mechanics and how he stared down his receivers.
Yeah, we've all seen what Cam can do when, he has just an average offensive line. We talked about it in 2015. He's been there. He's done it. But we know his mechanics are an issue. And I think at this point we've come to accept it. But he's much better than what he's showcasing right now. I think that's obvious. I feel like it is anyway. If this continues throughout the whole season, we might have another argument on our hands. But we haven't been there. It's going to be real interesting to see what we do against the Patriots next week, because if we have another, if he comes out and throws 2 more interceptions and this offense can't get it clicking, and we continue to just throw screens and can't get the ball downfield, and he continues to get rocked, I don't know. The defense didn't reassure us today that they can help the offense. He didn't help them by putting them in bad situations either.
Yeah, and at the end of the game, you throw 3 picks pretty quickly. The defense is going to get worn down.
Yeah, exactly. They were on the field a long time. It was hot today, and a couple of drives off those interceptions, the Saints only had to go 40 yards for a touchdown, and they did hold them to some field goals on that. But there's a lot to be concerned about. Y'all be sure to check out my buddy Etch by B's work here. He is he's a sponsor for the show. Oh, I can't get him up here. Whoopsie. But you can check him out at etchbyb.com. He does all these laser engraving things. See if I can get it up. Yep. Laser engravings. That's our Panthers Horse Cup I show each week. Y'all can check it out there and put in orders online. You can message him on Facebook. Facebook.com/etchbyb. A lot of cool stuff. So be sure to check that out. Let's check out something else, guys. Once again, no fades in the end zone. Well, I don't disagree, but Kelvin Benjamin wasn't in there, and I don't really trust anybody else for that. Please don't pick up Kaepernick. I don't even know why that comment's up here. The issue is him not practicing. He needs to practice, obviously. He's only missing 1 practice a week, guys, so I'm not going to sit here and say that 1 practice is going to make him that much better every week. That's just not going to happen. He's not going against live people. We're 2-1, and the Patriots are next. Should be worried after today. You have to be worried.
I think in 2 weeks we're 2-3.
2-3. We'll see. You can't argue that right now.
If what is on the field today happens for the next 2 weeks, we're 2-3 and 2 blowouts.
Yeah, and you can't argue that right now. And before the season started, I know that we were all hyped up on the new offensive weapons and the potential it had with Cam Newton at quarterback, and with what we did defensively, getting free agents. And I think a lot of people were getting caught up in that, and I saw a lot of predictions for 12-4, 13-3 and stuff like that. And in the NFC South, I'm not sure that's really realistic against the QBs we have to face. And I think, I was saying at one point I saw 10-6 and 11-5 was my high end for the Panthers. And in the NFC South, I think you can certainly fall to 8-8 if you have a couple of key injuries and this happens. You don't live up to what you thought you were going to be. So, right now, it's hard to argue after what we just saw today, especially at home. That's one of the more disappointing parts. Newton dresses better than any quarterbacks. Some people might argue that. Josh, they were open, bro. Cam just had tunnel vision. Yeah, look, receivers were open. I was sitting. You could see it live. They were streaking across in front of Cam. He forced some throws he shouldn't have. He's in his press conference right now. I'm getting updates and notifications on it. And actually, he just said, there's no need to panic. Should you be frustrated as a fan? Absolutely. I'm frustrated with my performance. He goes on to say, it's gut check time for a lot of people, including myself. Things on the offensive side have to be better. And these are all just Captain Obvious statements. But I think the first statement he actually said was he put the defense in some bad situations, which is what we were just hinting around at. You can't expect the defense to perform but so well against a quarterback like Drew Brees, who sees you twice a year every year. Like, they know you. So, I don't know. O-line equals horrible. Cam's rusty as hell. Yeah.
At what point in the season, we're 3 games in now, do we not give the rust excuse?
Now look, I said after the first 2 weeks, and before both of those games, I said this offense is going to be rusty the first month of football. I've said it all preseason, and the first month's coming to a close. We've got one more game after the Patriots game would be a month of football, 4 weeks. So after that, I mean, I'm concerned now. But after that, mainly just because of some of his decisions, not even just like him passing the ball, because he's still shown flashes of moving the ball down the field. But I'm concerned now as a whole, because the biggest reason I'm concerned with the team as a whole now is just because of the defense today. Like I said, I said the Saints are going to score the football. I mean, they're going to score touchdowns. But they made it look easy, too easy. But moving forward, if we have another performance like this offensively, where Cam has 21 yards passing in the first half, yeah, I'm going to be real concerned after New England. The schedule doesn't get real favorable after that. This is the start. We had New Orleans, New England, and then Detroit. And like I said, you got Tom Brady at 1, and Detroit is looking like a solid offense right now. So the defense can't save us forever. No, you're right, but defense travels most of the time in away games. That's why you like a strong defense. I mean, who wouldn't want a strong defense anyway? But what you saw today was pretty concerning. Catching up with Cam's presser here. So to answer your question, Cam's rust issues, I'd say I said the first month of football was my guess, and it could be longer, obviously, but I was giving it to week 4, and if he was still bad, I was really going to hit the panic button. I mean, I'm kind of in a panic mode right now. I'm not saying nobody shouldn't be. Cam's saying don't panic. We are still 2-1. If we can look on the bright side of things, we're 2-1. We're still fighting in the division as of right now, but we're only 3 weeks into the season, and it's a long season in reality. So, I don't know.
It is a long season. The injuries are stacking up on us now, and that's not promising for the future. That's what worries me the most is if we did lose. We did lose Olsen for 8 weeks, and if we lose KP, we're back to the drawing board, and we have to be able to score in our conference.
Huge losses. I mean, those are huge losses, and we were already worried about the offensive line. Now we're gonna have to worry about Cam's weapons, and he does still have some weapons. Devin Funchess played well today. He had 4 catches, 58 yards. We did talk about he didn't put much effort into that ball. It was a pick, but it was still a bad thrown ball, so I put that on Cam. And he had 4 catches for 58, and then Christian McCaffrey 9 catches for 101 yards. Outside of that, Ed Dixon had 1 target today. 1 target after Greg Olsen went out, and he was open for multiple big plays. Of course, and a lot of that comes from Greg Olsen being on the field probably too. So, but 1 target seems like a little low, as Cam prefers tight ends. I mean, he likes throwing his tight ends. We all know that. And then Curtis Samuel had 2 catches for 5 yards because all they would use him in is a screen game, it seemed, outside of the in the round. So those are tough stats to look at right there. I mean, it's like you got 2 receivers above 50 yards, and it goes down to 8 and lower. That's just ugly. So we're gonna check y'all's comments one more time. Defense, we got that one. Shula is predictable though. Josh Kurtz, certain personnel groupings Shula puts on the field, I could call the plays before it happened. Yeah, I mean, I saw, and I told you this when we were watching the game, A.J. Klein called multiple run plays out before they happened. A.J. Klein was also with the Panthers the majority of his career until he signed this past offseason with the Saints. So he may be able to pick up on some of them things, but he was calling them out. Benjamin Olsen, Khalil Davis, not looking good with injuries. No, I mean, those are like your anchors. Ryan Khalil, I'm starting to get concerned about that. If he just slept on his neck wrong and he's missed 2 games, I don't know.
When I saw the injury report the other day and said neck out, and I was like, they said he woke up with a sore neck from sleeping. How is he still? He's out for 2 weeks.
Yeah, get this guy a damn Tempur-Pedic mattress, and get him something. I mean, put him. They got to have some machine they can put him in, right?
Yeah,
just for him to sleep.
I mean, I might wake up with a sore neck. I'm missing 2 weeks of work.
Yeah, and they did say he aggravated it in the pregame, so he may have hit somebody wrong and it really messed it up. I don't know, but he's part of the anchor to the offensive line, and I still think him being out is part of that issue. Even though the offensive tackle play is just terrible. We have 2 Pro Bowl guards. Trey Turner went down for a little bit today. That had me really worried because we start getting pressure up through the middle. Cam Newton's really going to be in trouble. He ain't going to be able to step up anymore. So Cam not seeing open receivers. Yeah, we talked about it. Josh said pinched nerve. Well, there you go. I mean, I've been waiting on that. I haven't seen that. I've just heard he was questionable. So, but anyway, well, I appreciate you guys joining. I think we're going to jump off of here. I think we hit on everything. If y'all don't have any more comments, I will have fire off. AC Patel said fire all and what?
Predictions.
What's your predictions for us next week after this performance? If y'all follow, I'll drop the link in here. If y'all subscribe to our YouTube channel, I do a weekly preview where I actually dive in and look at some stats of the 2 teams and compare them each week. So I'm going to have to look into that before I make any predictions. Right now, I would say it's a loss based off today. When I look deeper into some a little bit of film and look at the stats, I'll let you know. I'll have that video out. I normally get it out about Wednesday. So look for that. I'll post it up here, but subscribe to us on YouTube. We drop a lot of stuff in there as well, video and media.
I actually watched a video this past week, and it had the Panthers and Patriots history of all the times they played. There's only been one blowout. The Panthers won. So it's always been close, but.
And Cam is undefeated against Tom Brady. So live that up right now. Live it up. He's 1-0. That was the Monday night game in 2013, which was a fantastic game. Panthers have always had, I mean, it's like you're saying, they've always played well against the Patriots. Unfortunately, we came up short in the biggest one of all, but I'd like to call and talk if you guys do call-ins. Yeah, I do, Josh. We're actually about to get off now. I didn't do it this week. I was actually out of town for the last couple of days, so I hadn't messed around getting everything back set up. But I will be doing it next week. I actually maybe I'll do something this week in the middle of the week for more like a preview on top of our YouTube stuff. So I'd definitely love to have you. Anyway, we're going to get out of here. Check us out on YouTube. I'll have that preview up, and we'll catch you guys next time. Like, comment, share, all that stuff. And maybe the team will get it turned around in a week. Maybe it was just a bad week. It's a bad week, Billy.
Hopefully.
It was just a damn bad week. That's what we're going to ride with. We'll catch you guys next time.
See you later.